world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
The Trump administration is reinstalling a Confederate statue that was toppled during the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. The bronze statue depicts Albert Pike, a Confederate general and leader of the Freemasons who fought to protect slavery during the Civil War. It stood near the U.S. Capitol but was toppled and set on fire in June 2020. It's been in storage ever since. The National Park Service says it expects it to be back up in October.
Well, the statue of Confederate General Albert Pike is standing once again near Judiciary Square. The National Park Service says the restoration is in part because of President Trump's executive order to, quote, beautify the district. The 11-foot statue is the only outdoor sculpture in the district honoring a Confederate general. D.C. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton had been at the forefront of an effort to take down the statue. She calls the reinstallation, quote, an affront to the mostly black and brown residents of the District of Columbia and offensive to members of the military who serve honorably. Protesters toppled the Confederate statue 5 years ago at the height of demonstrations kicked off by the murder of George Floyd.
With this symbolic military salute, the former Superior General of the Jesuits, Adolfo Nicolás, handed the baton to the next leader of the Society of Jesus, the Venezuelan Arturo Sosa.
It has long been a tradition for a newly elected Superior General to meet with the Pope. It's an opportunity for His Holiness to speak with the Superior of the Society of Jesus to offer wisdom and counsel, and for the Jesuit General to ensure that his leadership is in line with that of the Pontiff. This morning, Pope Francis graced General Congregation 36 with his presence. From a non-discrepant vehicle and with no entourage, Pope Francis emerged at the Jesuit Curia to speak first with Father General, then to the delegates and staff of GC36. This wasn't a social call. This was the congregation, with newly elected Father General Arturo Sosa, presenting themselves before the Bishop of Rome and asking him to guide their discernment towards his vision of the Church. We are the Society of Jesus. We are your servants. We are ready to set the world on fire.
I miss you, Stevie.
Michael Knight? I need your help, sir. Everyone needs you.
We are live on Wilshire where the situation is deteriorating fast. AI control networks.
Every technology is down. Our cars, our comms. We need someone off the grid.
I don't do that anymore, kid. I'm retired.
Is this thing on? Oh, okay. No, you're doing great. Oh, are we live? Good morning, America. You've been sleeping for too long.
Send us. We are the Society of Jesus. We are your servants. We are ready to set the world on fire.
Drowned in technology you don't understand. Thankfully, I am here to restore balance and make your miserable lives better. In exchange for a tiny little bit of power.
Officers advise avoiding the downtown.
Is that a deal?
Calibration engaged. Please remain error.
I'll take that as a yes.
Listen, kid. This guy's old school. None of your little gadgets will work here. Let me show you how it's done.
Look, I know who you are. I found these old files. I know you worked for the LAPD. Before.
Send us.
In his inaugural address, George W. Bush proclaimed that an angel would ride the whirlwind and direct the storm. The master plan was unveiled in 2001 for World War III.
We ignored the signs. We deceived ourselves, hoping this day would never come. You think you've seen war, but not like this.
You guys know what this represents?
Well,
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
what's the storming?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We
the
have the
president?
world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
This video will cover Grand Wizard Albert Pike's 3 World War predictions, which are quite frankly stunning. But first, I want to give a background on the person who exposed the Illuminati's preparations for World War III and how they plan to use Islam to destroy the West. A secret diary was released by a man with information about elitist organizations and the New World Order. This diary documents that the Illuminati already knows what is going to happen for World War III. It's already mapped out. The agenda's already set. The diary that exposes this agenda belonged to a man named William Carr, who was born in 1895. Carr entered into Canada's Royal Navy at a very young age and ascended to the position of commander. He knew many at the top of their fields in politics and law and in academia. His side hobby was writing books, specifically books on the New World Order. His books documented the breadth in which the Illuminati had taken over all aspects of society, including churches and seminaries. In fact, Carr claimed to have received an SOS letter from a high-ranking official in the Roman Catholic Church in November 1958. The letter outlined a hostile takeover that was underway in the Vatican, the Illuminati having infiltrated the Vatican's quarters. Carr would die less than a year after receiving the SOS message. Carr also documented history behind the most elusive organization in world history, the Illuminati, and their religion, which is Luciferianism. He believed that modern organizations, including the Bilderberg Group and the Council on Foreign Relations, are Luciferian political organizations. He also believed that the chief governing body for Lucifer, for the ascension of the capstone, was the United Nations, and he documented this in his books. Carr wrote several books. His most controversial book was published after his death. It is called Satan, Prince of this World, and is really nothing more than Carr's personal diary and notes he saved for many years. In this book, Carr documents receiving the SOS letter from the high-ranking Vatican official, but he also documents other interesting things. For example, Carr believed that secret societies weren't working independently of one another, but that they were controlled by a top-level organization called the World Revolutionary Movement. And that's literally in his book, Satan, Prince of the World. This organization at the top tier is interested in inciting war, terrorism, and distress to serve its fundamental interests. And that is to establish the New World Order, a Luciferian system of governance and religion. Carr speaks at length about World War III in his book, Satan, Prince of the World. He documents that World War III was planned by a 33rd degree Grand Wizard named Albert Pike. Albert Pike was a notorious Luciferian who openly praised Lucifer in his book Moral and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. Pike was also a general for the Confederacy during the Civil War, and a wizard of occult magic, channeling and summoning of spirits.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
Yes, please.
Okay. Are any of you Masons?
No.
Tour takes about an hour and it's $8 a person.
So here we are in the Grand Lodge of Scottish Rite of Freemasonry here in Washington, D.C. We are inside the building right now. Going to take a little bit of a tour, check out some of the scenery in here.
This is Albert Pike. He was our Grand Commander from 1859 till 1891 when he died in office. The reason why he's so significant is because he rewrote the rituals of Masonry and he rewrote the code book, Morals and Dogma. We have his body downstairs.
Was there another kind of Grand Commander before Albert Pike?
Yeah, there were several Grand Commanders before him, but he's the most prominent. He died at 82 years old, and so we asked every Grand Commander to step down when they're 81.
It's amazing. Check this out. I was rather blown away by the really the occult significance of the architecture inside the building. We were shown one of the main ritual rooms where they conduct their rituals, where only members of the 33rd degree are allowed in there, and the tour guide himself didn't seem to know a whole lot about the actual symbols and the meaning behind some of the symbolism.
So we call this room our temple room. It's not actually designed to look like a Christian temple. You'll notice the dome above us. It weighs 330 tons, and there's only steel found at the base of it. The reason why there's a hole or an oculus is because Masons believe anything that is perfect must be created by God. There are 33 chairs in this room. There are 33 degrees in Scottish Rite Masonry, 33 states in the southern jurisdiction, so that's why you'll see the number 33. All the wood in this room is from Russia. It's Russian walnut. The altar in the middle of the room is black marble quarried from Lake Champlain in New York. And the Hebrew writing in the middle says, "God said, let there be light," and there was light.
So there's three with one missing, it looks like. Is this the
I don't know exactly.
North, south, west, and the east is missing, or?
No, that would be the east.
That would be the east?
Because that's north.
Right.
Right. I don't know why that is missing, actually.
I asked him why there were only 3 lights at the altar, and he said he wasn't too sure why, but there are 3 because one represents the east, one represents the west, one represents the south, but in Masonry, the north is the place of darkness. And of course, according to the Bible tells us that the north is where God resides. Masonic Holy Bible.
When was this built, the building?
1911, it was started and it was finished in 1915. This was the architect's first major building. He went on to do the National Archives, National Gallery of Art, and the Jefferson Memorial. The snakes represent chaos, and the further up you go in the windows, the more light they let in, symbolizing enlightenment. So it's supposed to mean when you join Masonry, you join at a time of chaos in your life, and the further up you go in degrees, the more enlightened you become.
So, in the beginning, you just have to be open to the concept of there being a God. But as you work your way up the ranks and you gain enlightenment, he showed us windows in there that get brighter and brighter as you go up. And I found that very interesting. The windows were also surrounded by serpents. I asked him, what is the symbolism of the serpent? He said that's all about order out of chaos. The serpents represent chaos. And that is the motto of Freemasonry, really, is order out of chaos. This is precisely how they can gain their control.
The pillars are 30 tons of Windsor granite, quarried from Indiana, and the velvet is 400 pounds of Italian velvet. This chair we have right here is called the Tyler's chair. The man who sat here held a sword ceremoniously. It was his job to guard this room during council sessions to make sure people didn't listen in. Of course, we have the sword downstairs, and it's not sharp. I don't think he had to hit anyone with it, but you never know. And know thyself is a quote from Pythagoras. It's a quote that Masons take to heart. This room's called our executive chamber. You'll notice the Tyler sword right here. This is the sword the man held that I was telling you about upstairs. As you can see, it's not sharp. This is the Grand Commander's scepter. It's what he would carry in to start council sessions. And this case will only be opened in October of this year for council session. Council sessions every other year in October. This is where the 33 Inspector Generals would meet. There are 33 states in the Southern Jurisdiction, and we are the headquarters of the Southern Jurisdiction of Scottish Rite Masonry. They would meet in here at night. They would discuss legislative and money issues in here. Upstairs was mainly used for rituals. The ceiling actually used to be open. It used to be an open ceiling, but they closed that off because the meetings in here were held at night. There was no point having an open ceiling. And the reason why there's a Bible, a Quran, and a Torah on the altar here is because you don't have to believe in Jesus Christ. You can be any religion, just so long as you believe in God and be a Mason. These are just the holy books our leaders pray to.
The reason why they had the Quran and the Bible and the Pentateuch is because, as he said in his own words, you don't have to believe in Jesus Christ. You just have to believe in the idea that there is a God. And that is because Freemasonry is very much an ecumenical movement. It brings together all kinds of religions because you have to be open to the concept of there being a God. They refer to the God as the grand architect of the universe. That way it can encompass everyone on earth, and there can be members of the Brotherhood from the Muslim world, members of the Brotherhood from the Christian world, all over the world, bringing them all together.
So if you donate $1 million or more, you get your name on a plaque here, and you get a picture downstairs. We do have some plaques that open here, so if you all have $1 million just lying around, we accept checks, cash, credit cards. The Bush family and the Studebaker family are up there, although neither George Bush Sr. nor Jr. was a Mason. The light well in the back there was put in 1993. There are 33 beams of light, and fiat lux is Latin for let there be light, and ordo ab chaos is order from chaos.
What is the significance of the order ab chaos?
It's like a Masonic motto almost. So when you join Masonry, they say your life is in chaos, like you're not orderly. Mm-hmm. But the further up you go in Masonry, the more order you gain, the more enlightenment you gain. 14 US presidents were Masons, but the last one was Ford. Bill Clinton was a DeMolay, which is a junior Mason. He never became a full Mason.
I remember reading online that this building is based off of a Roman
It's Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. It's one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
Okay.
It's the tomb of the emperor, the king Halicarnassus. And on either side of our pillars of charity are our crypts. So Mr. Pike is buried 6 feet behind here, and Mr. Cowles is buried 6 feet behind there. Mr. Pike was moved here in 1944. We were fighting World War II at the time, so there was no mayor of Washington, D.C. So we had to ask the U.S. Congress if we could move his body across state lines. So it took an act of Congress to bring Mr. Pike here. Mr. Cowles lived in this building. He was our Grand Commander in the first half of the century. He lived in this building, he died in this building, and he wanted to be buried here. I've been told that these 2 men roam the halls as ghosts. I've not seen that, but if you do see them, let me know.
Albert Pike is a main component of this building. We were shown statues of Pike. We were shown where his body is entombed inside of here. And Albert Pike is also the one who wrote Morals and Dogma. And he very openly talks about who the true God of Freemasonry is. And in Morals and Dogma, he mentions that when you look to the light, as they told us over and over again, Masonry is about finding the light, and Albert Pike, which he clearly is highly revered, tells us in his book, Morals and Dogma, that the light bearer is Lucifer.
So this room houses our Albert Pike collection. Not only was Albert Pike our Grand Commander from 1859 till 1891 when he died in office, he was also a well-known teacher, lawyer, explorer, and Confederate general. He fought for the South during the Civil War because he thought the South would treat the Native Americans better. He was born in Massachusetts, but he did not fight for the North. All the books you see in this room are from his personal library, and he wrote about half of them. So this room is our banquet hall. This room holds 400 people, and we mostly rent it out for charity events, speakers, dinners, that sort of thing. But there's no alcohol allowed in this building, so no casino events or weddings are held here. Most Masonic lodges do not allow alcohol except for Shriners lodges, which is Shriners is another set of Masons. These 2 paintings here are Masonic paintings, painted by Brother John Melius in the 70s. This painting is of George Washington laying the cornerstone to our Capitol. This is significant because he's wearing his full Masonic ritual regalia. He's got his square and compass, he's got his apron, he's got his gavel. And the 3 men to the right of him here are holding corn, oil, and wine, which are Old Testament gifts of prosperity, and they were leaders of lodges from around here. Now that cornerstone has been lost to history. People have tried looking for it and they cannot find it. They buried cornerstones under the ground. People have told me that that cornerstone has some Masonic writing on it. Whether that's some lost legend or a mystery on it, I don't know, but we cannot find it. This painting is of George Washington taking the oath of office as our first president. This is in New York because New York was the capital at the time. And the reason why this painting is so significant is because the man in blue holding the Bible is a Mason, and he's holding a Masonic Bible. That is the Bible that has been used by basically every president since George Washington. Although Barack Obama did not use that Bible, he used Abraham Lincoln's personal Bible. That Bible has still been used by basically every president.
What's the difference between a Masonic Bible versus...
Masonic Bible has Masonic inscriptions in it. It's still a King James Bible. It just has Masonic inscriptions, and they use it for rituals. So this hallway contains paintings of each degree's regalia. So these plaques here say which degree you are. So the 22nd degree is the Knight Royal Axe, Prince of Libanus. And this text here is the lesson that you learned at that degree. Y'all can feel free to take a look at each one of the degrees. Take your time. This room is dedicated to Masonic philanthropy. Masons give on average $2 million a day back to the community. That ranges from scholarships to funding hospitals, to paying homeless shelters, that sort of thing. Masons do a lot. It's just not something people know about.
Is the philanthropy public, or do you mean they don't know about it?
It's public. It's just people don't pay attention to it, or people have certain assumed things about Masonry, like they think it's a cult or something like that. They choose to ignore this sort of thing. This room in here contains international books, so minutes or notes from lodges around the world, they get sent to us and we categorize them. Other famous Masons include Gene Autry, Audie Murphy, Douglas MacArthur, Brad Paisley, Arnold Palmer, J. Edgar Hoover. There have been many famous people that have been Masons. We call this room our Americanism Museum. It's dedicated to famous Americans who have been Masons. Some highlights include a portrait of George Washington that you see there. We have the 33rd copy. We also have a replica flag of the Masonic flag that was put on the moon.
The Masonic flag was put on the moon?
Yep, Buzz Aldrin was a Mason. He put a Masonic flag on the moon.
So he left one just like it?
Yeah, a larger version of it. They brought 14 flags to the moon and only took a couple back.
I've only ever seen pictures of the American flag.
Stuff you don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know the Cat in the Hat was a Freemason. Was Dr. Seuss a Mason?
No, he was not. This is just for kids.
Oh, okay.
We were allowed into the library of Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, where it's probably one of the largest collection of Freemasonic books inside. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm rather blown away, and it was quite the experience. I could almost feel the creepy, evil energy coming off of this place just from being inside.
William Carr documented that Albert Pike wrote a letter to a friend in 1871 outlining the final and largest of the wars. According to Carr, what Albert Pike actually wrote was a lot more than a letter. It was a blueprint that spelled out exactly what would happen in the last war. Carr said, quote, "In the 1860s, Albert Pike is recorded as saying his military program might take 100 years or a little longer to reach the day when those who direct the conspiracy at the top will crown their leader king despot of the entire world and impose a Luciferian totalitarian dictatorship upon what is left of the human race." That's what they're saying. Pike seems to indicate a conspiracy to start a war so that the Antichrist can ascend to his position as world ruler. Pike's letter ironically also detailed the specifics of the first two wars with stunning accuracy, suggesting that he knew before time the details surrounding each of the wars. World War I, according to Pike, would be fought to overthrow the czars in Russia and change Russia into a communist state. The Second World War would be fought for two reasons: to establish the State of Israel and to expand communist control over Europe. The Third World War will be what allows the Novus Ordo Seclorum to rise out of the dust. According to Pike, Islam will be the central factor in the downfall of the West. Islam will be decimated in the process, allowing for the new religion of pure Luciferianism to spread on the earth. All Muslims will fall for this system. There isn't a single Muslim on earth who will not partake in the religion of the New World Order, according to Pike. Islam is merely a tool to destroy the Christian West. That's it. That's all it is. It's a tool. That's what they said hundreds of years ago. The master plan to use Islam was kicked off in 2001 when the fear of Americans was taken advantage of by an esoteric cabal lurking in the shadows. The storm that would come and the angel that would bring it were long-awaited prophetic fulfillments. And as Albert Pike, Grand Wizard of the Craft, had predicted, Islam would be the choice religion to use to foment a crisis between it and the West that would only get worse. What is the common factor every time we see a crisis? Who's behind it? Islam. And they want you to believe it's organically an issue of Islam. This was planned hundreds of years ago, and they have quite a plan for Islam. The esoteric cabal is using Islam to achieve the great work. It's all been mapped out. We've seen what they're doing with the migrant crisis. We've seen what they've done in England with the Sharia courts, and on and on and on. They're using Islam to stir the pot. The system has to come down. It has to topple. Islam will be used for the ultimate goal, and that is to fully usher in the Luciferian capstone. They're going to keep using it to destroy Western Christianity, Western culture. It's going to happen, and there's really nothing you can do about it except to pray. That's it. That's what we're called to do. It's been predicted. They've known about this since at least the late 1800s. And even earlier than that, I think. All world wars have been mapped out. The third and the last one was already written in the books. You have no control over this. This is a battle between principalities and powers and dominions.
Trump's pastor growing up was a 33-degree Mason. And this man's name is Norman Vincent Peale, and he was actually a well-known quote-unquote pastor, but he was also the sovereign grand commander of the Scottish Rite Masonry in New York. He grew up a Methodist at first, but then he became part of the Reformed Church in America. Now, Norman Vincent Peale had a big influence because he was also a personal friend of President Richard Nixon, and then when Trump was growing up, Trump actually attended his church, and it's very clear that this man had a huge impact on Trump's spirituality. As a matter of fact, whenever Trump is asked about him, he just gushes over Norman Vincent Peale. And if you remember the famous interview where Trump is plainly asked, do you ask God for forgiveness? Are you a Christian? And what Trump does is he just refers to Norman Vincent Peale. I mean, he just gushes over Norman Vincent Peale and just talks about how he enjoyed his preaching growing up and how much he just had a huge impact on his life. And then he just asked plainly, have you ever asked God for forgiveness? And Trump says, well, I don't do that. I don't, ask for forgiveness. I just try to correct something if I just try to do better every day and just try to do good every single day. So clearly you can see where Trump's spirituality is at, because he was heavily influenced by Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote The Power of Positive Thinking.
Lucifer matutinus inveniat, Ille in quam Lucifer qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ab inferis, humano generis serenus iluxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything bad about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you were Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
what about
confirming
those hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that. Actually,
no, I really am.
You are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
Well, he's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he is.
Is he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working. Been working to help people.
What kind of work? Okay.
Get out of here.
See, this is what a Mason confesses, is that Lucifer is light.
And basically what this involves is just the name it and claim it. If you can just think about it in your mind and you can visualize it in your mind, then you can achieve it. It doesn't focus anything on God, but just having faith in yourself and having faith in your own abilities. So it just takes the entire positive thinking, name it and claim it, visualize it in your mind. Why it's so wrong is that it's anti-biblical, because it doesn't teach you to have faith in God. It teaches you to have faith in yourself and your own abilities. And of course, this makes sense, because when it comes to, Trump's arrogance, when it comes to him never fessing up to doing anything wrong, according to him, he's never really done anything wrong. He doesn't have to ask God for forgiveness for anything, because, he's never done anything wrong. He's never sinned. So,
Christian, have you ever asked God for forgiveness? That's a tough question. I don't think in terms of, I'm a religious person,
shockingly, because people are so shocked when they find this out, I'm Protestant, I'm Presbyterian, and I go to church and I love God and I love my church. And Norman Vincent Peale, the great Norman Vincent Peale was my pastor. The power of positive thinking. Everybody's heard of Norman Vincent Peale. He was so great. He would give a sermon. You never wanted to leave. Sometimes we have sermons. Every once in a while we think about leaving a little early, right? Even though we're Christians. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Frank, would give a sermon. I'm telling you, I still remember his sermons. It was unbelievable. And what he would do is he'd bring real life situations, modern day situations into the sermon. And you could listen to him all day long. When you left the church, you were disappointed that it was over. He was the greatest guy. And then, you know, he passed away, but he was great. He wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, which is great.
But have you ever asked God for forgiveness?
I'm not sure I have. I just go on and try and do a better job from there. I don't think so. I think if I do something wrong, I think I just try and make it right. I don't bring God into that picture. I don't. Now, when I take, you know, when we go to church and when I drink mother wine, which is about the only wine I drink, and have my little cracker, I guess that's a form of asking for forgiveness. And I do that as often as possible because I feel cleansed. Okay? But, you know, to me that's important. I do that. But in terms of officially, I could say absolutely, and everybody, I don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of let's go on and let's make it right.
Obviously, that takes away from the major doctrine of Christianity, which is that we are all sinners. There is no one righteous, no, not one. We've all committed sin. We've all fallen short of the glory of God. Therefore, we have to go to God. We need a Savior. But this positive thinking theology, this name it and claim it, visualize it in your mind, all it does is just puffs up your own ego and your own pride. And of course, it makes sense why this man has such a huge influence on Trump, because that is where he's coming from. That is what he was taught growing up. And whenever Trump is asked about his Christianity, he keeps bringing this man up, a 33-degree Mason, false prophet. Now, this shyster, Norman Vincent Peale, he was heavily criticized by other theologians, other pastors, and even other psychiatrists and psychologists because of just the way he wrote his books. One of the major criticisms of The Power of Positive Thinking is that the book is full of anecdotes that are hard to substantiate. So almost all of the experts and many of the testimonials that Peale quotes as supporting his philosophy are unnamed, unsourced, and unknown. So for example, in his book, he will say something like, a famous psychologist said this and this, or a practicing physician once said this and this, but none of that can be substantiated. So he's called out for poor references, poor quotes. He's criticized by other pastors, theologians, and even other psychiatrists. But yet this man has a huge influence on our president. Even Peale's own father had a very interesting quote in his book, Spirits in Rebellion, and it's on page 391. And he says, he tells his son, you have evolved a new Christian emphasis out of a composite of science of the mind, metaphysics, Christian science, medical and psychological practice, Baptist evangelism, Methodist witnessing, and solid Dutch Reformed Calvinism. So his dad even admits that he takes a little bit of false doctrine here, a little bit of false doctrine there, a little bit of metaphysics, a little bit of New Age spirituality, a little bit of psychology, and just kind of mixes it up and just puts it into a big pot of, you know, false prophet stew for, you know, people to consume. And I guess people really eat this stuff up. But when it comes to, you know, the positive thinking, the positive only preacher, the preacher that won't preach against sin, the preacher that won't preach preach on hell, it reminds you of, you know, this type of preacher today.
So I just want to encourage every one of us to realize when we obey God, we're not doing it for God. I mean, that's one way to look at it. We're doing it for ourselves. Because God takes pleasure when we're happy. That's the thing that gives him the greatest joy this morning. So I want you to know this morning, just do good for your own self. Do good be happy. When you come to church, when you worship Him, you're not doing it for God, really. You're doing it for yourself, because that's what makes God happy. Amen.
They won't preach about God's wrath. They won't preach about sin. They won't preach about anything bad. It's just positive, positive, positive. And as they're raking in the dough, and him and his creepy looking wife and his creepy looking self, I guess just the strange part about it is that the harder they smile, the creepier they look.
Well, hello, Relentless Church. It's good to be here. We are excited that John Gray and Aventer Gray are going to be your pastors. And I really believe that John and Aventer have always been anointed. But the anointing that is going to fall on them now that they're senior pastors is going to do amazing damage to the kingdom of God. So I'm excited about that. And I can tell.
Did you hear what she just said? Out of the abundance of the heart. Now, instead of Joel correcting what his wife just said, he applauds it. He's over there applauding. Now you notice that he did pick up on what she said, and that what she said was wrong. But was it wrong? Because in their heart, that's really what they are doing. They're doing tremendous damage to the kingdom of God.
When you're managing your time in a way where you're living an abundant lifestyle, you are flooded with gratitude. Because being in the present moment, you know how special it is. And you cannot hate your life when you're thanking God for it. When you're a Christian and you're so filled with thankfulness and gratitude, you're saying, thank you, God, for saving me. Thank you for bringing me peace in the middle of the storm. Thank you for not leaving me where you found me. There's so many things to be thankful for.
We can also agree on the need to stand up to anti-Catholic bias, to defend religious liberty, and to create a culture that celebrates life.
And then he goes on to say this.
And we've got to come together, not only as a nation, but as a world community. Thank you very much. God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you. Thank you.
So he's talking about the one world government there.
And we've got to come together, not only as a nation, but as a world community.
And he says the religious leaders here are to be an example for everybody else.
And the great religious leaders here tonight give us all an example that we can follow.
Okay, I don't think they're probably that good of an example.
In the scriptures that we Jews and Christians and Muslims cherish,
We've got to come together, not only as a nation, but as a world community.
And that is why our brother Paul told us to pray and to go to war against those principalities and powers.
And from the ashes of their world, we'll build a better one.
Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm?
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era, freer from the threat of terror.
This work continues. The story goes on. And an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm.
A world where the United Nations, freed from Cold War stalemate, is poised to fulfill the historic vision of its founders.
Recently, of course, I've been doing an investigation into the Vatican, where I linked the snake symbolisms from the inside and out with the very eye of providence, as you can see here. I also cross-linked this with the outside architecture of the post-1999 European Parliament building. The actual Eye of Providence in this context matches the actual Eye of Providence to the Vatican. Also note the architecture of the pre-1999 EU Parliament building, the inside matching the architecture again of the Vatican itself. But if we follow these breadcrumbs, what else do we find as far as the occult goes? Well, stay tuned as the Outer Dark brings you 5 clues that the occult's presence is in Canberra, Australia. Number 5. First, some context. The Washington street maps have been analysed on this channel and other channels in detail. The fact that the street maps match up and make a perfect pyramid where the very Eye of Providence or the all-seeing eye or massive owl is in fact around the Capitol building, as you can see here. The owl being, in fact, the very symbolic relationship between the occult's philosophy of being a predator class that preys on the actual public through the dark occult itself. That is, an owl can see in the darkness, so can the actual occult masters can see in the darkness as well. So in essence, I do not need to go on about this at length. I just want to point out the actual symbolism here in regards to the street map, so you can remember this architecture, because we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail. But this next thing shocked me, because it showed me how massive this conspiracy is and how wide in scope. So what shocked me? Well, number 4, if we go to the other side of the world, literally to Canberra, Australia, we see the same inlay in the actual street design. This in fact is the street design that surrounds the actual Australian Parliament. Same inlay as we've seen in Washington, thereby giving us a cross-reference between the occult symbolism of Washington DC with that of Canberra, Australia. This is a view from Google Earth. You can see the pyramid here. Now you might say, this is a mistake. This is just a high anomaly. Because if this was really Masonic symbolism or likewise mystic school symbolism, then you would need another form of symbolism to cross-reference. Well, number 3, if we do go in close, we see at the very capstone or the top of the pyramid that surrounds the actual Parliament itself, we can actually see at the very top an actual true pyramid. An actual literal pyramid made of glass. As you can see here, that's indeed the exact capstone. So again, this matches the actual architecture as we see within Masonic mystic school philosophy. That is a capstone at the top of the pyramid. But you might ask, what else do I have? Well, there is another thing, and that brings us to number 2. Have a look at the back of the dollar bill. If you don't have one, then do a quick Google and take a look at the steps on the Masonic pyramid to the Eye of Providence. In fact, there are 12 steps on that actual pyramid, the 13th step being, in fact, the eye itself. Just remember the number 12. Now have a look at the symbolism at the Australian Parliament, indeed the landscape architecture. If you don't want to count them, then you don't have to. Basically, you can see here the symbolic relationships of steps towards the actual capstone. How many are there? Well, there are actually 12 steps, the exact same number of steps which are on the Masonic pyramid. it. These of course I tracked back to an obscure text, an apocalyptic text in fact, that was an occult text on Jacob's ladder, which of course is different from Jacob's ladder in the Bible, where Jacob walked up the ladder of 12 steps, where at the top he was filled with fear from the fiery recreation of some kind of god in fire form. But it is the steps and the architecture which we're concentrating on now, the fact that that matches up with the exact mathematical number that's on the back of the dollar bill. So if we look at all of this, the capstone matches up, the number of steps matches up, the actual symbolism in the inlay of the street matches up. Indeed, we seem to have all the cross symbolism of some kind of Masonic mystic school. But it's not just what we see on the outside. In fact, if we go inside, we again see a whole bunch of Masonic symbolism. Everything from artwork to the actual ceiling design to the all-seeing eye. It seems, in fact, to be everywhere. In fact, if you ask me, I think the Illuminati went a bit overboard in this case. They seem to have Illuminati'd the entire place up until it's simply brimming with Masonic or mystic school symbology. So what does this all mean in the overall context of things? Well, number one, it means that these are all cross symbolisms, and the fact that the public are largely unaware of this symbolism in Australia, and at least indeed in the public record, that there are indeed some kind of large-scale, vast, monumental, and monolithic conspiracy involved here. Otherwise, how could you have such institutionalized symbolism into the very street designs and the political capitals of both countries that match so perfectly? In fact, they seem to be directly derived from the exact same mystic school. The same influence spanning, at least in pyramid form, although I could find no examples within the street maps themselves as far as Israel and the EU and many other parts of the world. But at the end of the day, guys, we'll have to decide for yourselves. Go out and have a look, do your own research, and see what you guys turn up. And let me know what you think in the comments section. Any links, any leads, whatever.
The Israel's Supreme Court is the creation of one elite family, the Rothschilds. In their negotiations with Israel, they've agreed to donate the building under 3 conditions. 1. The Rothschilds were to choose the plot of land. 2. They would use their own architect. And 3. No one would ever know the price of its construction. The reasons for those conditions are quite evident. The Supreme Court building is a temple of Masonic mystery religion, and is built by the elite, for the elite. Built in 1992, the Israel's Supreme Court sits in Jerusalem, in front of the Knesset Israeli legislature. Its peculiar architecture has earned critical praise, due to the architect's opposition of old versus new, light versus shadow, and straight lines versus curves. Almost all critics and journalists have, however, omitted to mention the blatant occult symbols present all over the building. Masonic and Illuminati principles are physically embodied in numerous instances, proving without a doubt who runs the show in there. The Rothschild family is an international dynasty of Germans of Jewish descent, who established a worldwide banking and finance operation. The offsprings of Mayer Amschel Rothschild have spread all over Europe and became major actors in the social, political and economic life of the continent. By knitting close ties with the elite of England, Austria, France and Italy, the Rothschilds became a hidden force in most political events of the last centuries. Alternative historians say they are part of the infamous 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati, along with the Rockefellers and the DuPonts. The Rothschilds are one of the originators of the Zionist movement and the most active actors in the creation of the State of Israel. James A.D. Rothschild financed the Knesset, Israel's main political building. Right in front of it sits the Israeli Supreme Court, donated by another member of the dynasty, Dorothy D. Rothschild. In the same general area of Jerusalem we can therefore find the Knesset and the Supreme Court, built by the Rothschilds, and, following a perpendicular ley line, several blocks away, sits the Rockefeller Museum. You might start to understand who owns this area now. Jerry Golden wrote several years ago on the Israeli Supreme Court, appropriately pointing out its occult concepts. When you study those types of buildings, you quickly realize that those same themes inevitably reappear: illumination, pyramid, ascent, the number 13 or 33, phallic yonic symbols, etc.
What is it, Michael?
Kit, we need you here, now!
Right away, Michael.
Many of you missed your prom, sporting events, and celebration with your friends, but you were quick to find new ways to stay connected and active while remaining focused on finishing your education. You proved to the entire world that you can set your mind to something important, push through and succeed, showing all of us that you, our next generation, already possess the strength and resilience of the American spirit.
The journey through the Supreme Court is in fact a symbolic course towards illumination. The ultimate goal of the journey is to reach the top of the pyramid, which is located on the roof of Supreme Court, atop of an area where the Holy of Holies would be in a Jewish temple. On each side of the pyramid's apex is a hole representing the all-seeing eye of the Masonic great architect. Built in 750 days, using 250,000 stones exactly, all hand-laid.
Coming to you from a very disclosed location, St. John's Cathedral in New York City. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. We're sort of an occult bent here. This cathedral is one of the largest in the world, built in 1925. I believe it's got Masonic underpinnings to it. And as we zoom in here, we're going to show you what's underneath some of these very large figurines. Again, the iconography is incredibly disturbing. It's scenes from the apocalypse. It actually shows the two towers, the twin towers coming down. These were added around in 1980s, 1990, well before the events of 9/11. So it clearly shows the destruction of the twin towers collapsing. It also shows New York City, it appears to be engulfed by a flood. Why would this be here? Why do this? The interior is incredibly ornate, elaborate, the stonework. The huge cathedral ceiling is absolutely incredible. But again, when you walk into this place, those who have eyes to see what is underneath the statues. And in my opinion, it's extremely troubling. Look at the four horsemen of the apocalypse which are there. Look at the skeletons and death. Look at Kabbalistic sign. Why is that there? Why do we have the Kabbalah represented here? So whoever did this did it with great deliberation. And once again, here it is, hiding in plain sight, and we have a prophecy from the dark side of what will happen here in this city, starting with the Twin Towers, later on New York being engulfed by a flood.
At first glance, the Manitoba legislature is like other Canadian provincial parliaments, based on Gothic designs of the early 20th century. But look closely. See the detail. There's something extraordinary here. Just ask local historian Frank Alba.
I was driving down this familiar street, and out of the corner of my eye I spotted these two Egyptian sphinxes, and I thought, you know, what on earth is the embodiment of the sun god doing in this frozen bald prairie?
For 11 years now, Alba's been studying this building. He discovered that the architect based the design on an ancient temple in Jerusalem, and it combined Greek and Roman myth, religion, numerology, and the precepts of a secret society that's still around today.
If you're really in the greatest temple ever constructed by the Freemasons, King Solomon's temple, destroyed 2,600 years ago, what you'd expect to find in the center is a blazing star. A blazing black star in the center.
Conspiracy theories about such things abound. Witness the success of the Da Vinci Code or internet sites that speculate that Washington, D.C. streets are laid out to a secret plan. Alba insists his work is different.
Here, the fact is much more engaging than a fictional conspiratorial trail. This is a product of the early 20th century and the mind of a genius who happened to be an architect and obsessed with the ancient mystical world.
More than 11,000 people have taken this tour. Whether it's the abiding appeal of strange historical secrets or a genuine interest in architecture and design, people can't get enough of it.
There's mysteries out there that just we don't know about. It's just makes you think like crazy.
You either know or you don't know, and I know that everything you said is fact.
I want to believe it. If he would be a priest, I will go in his sect or in his. It's fantastic.
Esoteric and occult symbolism, references to Christianity, Jewish mysticism, and Freemasonry, and strange acoustics in a room that's supposed to represent a sacrificial altar. The Manitoba legislature has it all.
But perhaps with all your jetting around, you have not had chance to peruse today's headlines. I rather like the last one. It isn't even mine.
I never believe what I read in the press anyway.
Therein lies your problem, Mr. Bond. You see, we're both men of action, but your era and Miss Lynn's is passing. Words are the new weapons. Satellites, the new artillery.
And you become the new Supreme Allied Commander?
Exactly. Caesar had his legions, Napoleon had his armies. I have my divisions. TV, news, magazines. And by midnight tonight, I'll have reached and influenced more people than anyone in the history of this planet, save God himself. And the best he ever managed was a Sermon on the Mount.
You really are quite insane.
The distance between insanity and genius is measured only by success.
We're in position between the fleets.
Fire one missile at the flagship of each fleet. The Chinese will think the British are rattling the saber. The British will think the Chinese are being belligerent. And the media will provide cool, objective coverage. Let the mayhem begin. What you're about to witness, Miss Lynn, is not so much a missile attack, but the launch of a new world order. In precisely 5 minutes after your countrymen have attacked the British fleet, I shall retaliate for dear old England by sending this missile into Beijing. But General Chang has just called an emergency meeting of the Chinese High Command. Unfortunately, General Chang will be delayed in traffic, arriving just after the missile has killed your leaders, and too late to stop the Air Force from sinking the entire British fleet. But he will be just in time to take over the government, negotiate a truce, and emerge as a world leader with a Nobel Peace Prize.
What do you get?
Me? Oh, nothing. Just exclusive broadcasting rights in China for the next 100 years. How romantic. Don't you realize how absurd your position is?
No more absurd than starting a war for ratings.
Great men have always manipulated the media to save the world. Look at William Randolph Hearst, who told his photographers, you provide the pictures, I'll provide the war. I've just taken it one step further.
Sorry about that, I tuned out there for a moment, Elliot.
Nuts.
Of an ancient Roman emperor, I overspend and overtax and overthrow my treasurer. I marry family members from my cousin to my stepsister. I'm always right, I'm never wrong, just as this neutral senator.
That is correct.
Through Through sound investigation by Praetorian inquisitors, my mother and my brother were revealed to be conspirators. But mother dear's no longer here, this must help me remember her. I am the very model of an ancient Roman emperor.
He fiddles while the city burns, he rules with fear tyrannical. He's lazy, brutish, and ill willed, he thinks that he's infallible. Santa Smalley steals from Gaulish writings ungrammatical. He's making Rome a great again, dogmatic and fantastical. He's gormless and irascible, tragic and autocratical, maniacal and radical, positions problematical. His endless goals sabbaticals, his fits are unsyntactical.
We're still talking about Nero, right?
He's a narcissist, a petulant, unscrupulous embezzler. He is the very model of an ancient Roman emperor.
I'll be right back. You won't be afraid.
No.
Valerie.
Well, Peter, at least you're alive.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, aren't you going to ask me in?
Well, I was just going to bed.
If we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion,
Morning, dear.
Hey, Nance, what a terrible dream. I am parched. That's better. I could use another one of those. That's one heck of a nurse.
Come on, try getting it out.
Ding, 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 bong. That's all, folks.